Perfect.
All right, everybody, what's going on, man? How y'all doing? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk. This is the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC. Sewell's coming at you. Today is our Week 6 recap, man. Crazy day of SWAC football, man. A lot of action. 5 conference games on the schedule. Pine Bluff was off, and who else was off? Texas Southern was off. So those 2 teams did not play today, but everybody else played, and man, like I said, it was a crazy week of SWAC action. A lot of ups and downs, man, a lot of topsy-turviness, but in the end, we had some great games, so we're going to talk about all that action in a minute. But before we do, make sure y'all check out those socials. Got our weekly recap. Got our weekly schedule on there. Let you know what's coming at you throughout the week. Tuesday is our HBCU top 10, our point spread show, and any tidbits that come out of the coaches press conference, which typically ain't much, but you never know. Sometimes somebody might drop a gem here and there. Other than that, socials are Facebook, SWAC Talk, Instagram, SWAC Talk, Twitter, SWAC Talk 76. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to become a member, you get the join button. Like the video, share it. Feel free to comment your thoughts on Week 6. And if you want to support the show but not really want to hit the become a member and have a monthly thing, you can hit the Cash App $SWAC Talk to donate anything that you like to the show. Would be very much appreciated. And also, this month October is Breast Cancer Awareness, and my wife, she works for Park Lane Jewelry. And she's asking for your support. They have a hope necklace that can be purchased for only $20 with a minimum purchase, and 20% goes directly to breast cancer research. The link will be in the description. You can check it out. They got a lot of great stuff. That's my sponsor, so to speak. So, man, I got to put that out there. So, y'all go ahead and rock with that. And let's get this thing started, man. Our first game of the day is Alabama State taking on Bethune-Cookman. The Hornets won this game 19-14. I picked the Hornets to win this game by a score of 21-12, so not that far off on the game, but it was a typical Alabama State game, man. Bethune-Cookman had their opportunities, just couldn't really seal the deal. Alabama State led 3-0 after their first score, which was a 24-yard Jaden John field goal, which came with 10:19 left in the first quarter. Bethune-Cookman got on the board with 7:13 left in the first, when Jimmy Robinson ran a 7-yard touchdown run. Extra point good. Wildcats led 7-3, and that would be our halftime score. Third quarter, 13-14 left. Marcus Harris had a 1-yard run for the Hornets, capping a 90-yard drive that took 1:38 off the clock. Score was 9-7 after the missed conversion. 7:06 left in the third. Isaiah Scott caught a 21-yard pass from Damon Stewart. Extra point good. That capped a 95-yard drive. So Alabama State put together 2 90-plus yard drives in the third quarter and got 2 touchdowns off of them. Led 16-7. And then Jaden John put the Hornets up by 12 with 14 minutes left in the game with another 24-yard field goal. Then Bethune-Cookman would get a 7-yard pass from Walter Simmons to Jalen Brown with 4:15 left in the game to go to a trail 19-14. Alabama State would turn the ball over deep in their own end late, and Bethune-Cookman had a chance. They found themselves in a position to ultimately win the game, but they could not do it. They actually ended up getting the ball at Alabama State's 10-yard line with They got the ball. They got the ball at Alabama State 10-yard line after Demetrius Davis interception. Uh, could not convert. Like I said, they could not score. Uh, they took a sack on first down. They ran for 4 yards to make up that lost yardage on third down. They threw incomplete, and then they had another incompletion um, to get the ball back to Bama State with a minute and 27 seconds left on the clock. Alabama State will ultimately run the clock out and win this game by a score of 19-14. Again, this is a Bama State football game. This is kind of what you get from Alabama State. Now you get games that are ugly. I mean, you're not going to see a lot of pretty offense. You're not going to see a lot of spectacular stuff. Defense is going to do the work, and the offense is going to try to chip in where they can and pretty much finish that way. Alabama State, 108 yards on the ground, rushing 2.8 yards per carry with one touchdown. They threw for 204, 14 of 23, one touchdown, one interception. Finished with 312 yards of offense, average 5 yards per play. Bethune-Cookman could not do anything offensively. They ran for 123 yards on the night, 3.2 yards per carry, one touchdown. They passed for 75 yards, 13 of 22, one touchdown, no interception. Finished with 198 yards of offense, 3.2 yards per play. Um, Both teams fumbled 3 times combined, but they didn't lose either one. Not a lot of penalties, only 4 penalties in this game, 4 penalties for 29 yards between the two teams. So definitely no penalties there. Uh, just was a game where neither team really could do a lot offensively. Bethune-Cookman was 5 of 15 on third down. Alabama State was 2 of 12. Both teams converted 2 fourth down attempts. Bethune-Cookman was 2 or 3 in the red zone. Bama State 4 or 4. Alabama State had 6 sacks as a defense. Bethune-Cookman didn't register any individually. 2 quarterback system again for Alabama State. I don't understand it. I mean, yes, you won, but I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And your offense is not operating in a manner that makes it seem like this is a worthy thing, So I 6 weeks into the season, I feel like you got to pick a guy, man. I mean, everybody who does what I do feels like you should pick a guy, and I don't know why they don't see it. But they don't. But Damon Stewart was 8 of 13 for 150 yards with a touchdown. Demetrius Davis was 6 of 9 for 54 yards and an interception. Walter Simmons was 13 of 22 for Bethune-Cookman for 75 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions. He was sacked 6 times. Jimmy Robinson led all rushers with 22 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. Demetrius Davis led Bama State with 11 carries for 50 yards. Marcus Harris has 16 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Trezado led Bethune-Cookman with 3 catches for 20 yards. Jalen Brown 3 for 15 on a touchdown. Jalen Brown 3 for 25 and no touchdowns. Brown 3 for 15 and a touchdown. Keyshawn Johnson, as usual, big game for him. 6 catches, 99 yards. Isaiah Scott caught the touchdown. He had 4 for 66 and a touchdown. Darius Thomas led Bethune-Cookman with 9 tackles. Also led the Wildcats with 2 tackles for loss. Interception was by Steven Sparrow. Alabama State was led by Bubba Adams, as usual, with 13 tackles. Also, DeMarcus Cunningham had 12. Adams also had 2 tackles for loss. He also had a sack. Cunningham had a sack. Cale Jackson had a sack. James Burgess, Traquan Thomas, and Andrew Ogletree, who made his return against Florida A&M a couple weeks ago, he chipped in a sack. So I mean, like I said, this is Bama State football. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. This is Bama State football. You play good defense, smother the other team, and hope your offense can score enough. Against a team like Bethune-Cookman, they were able to score enough to win this game. I mean, they still have a lot of things to work out. There's still a lot of questions with this team on the offensive side of the ball. Don't know where you go with that, but there's still a lot of questions with this team on the offensive side of the ball. But they won, and hey, winning is better than losing. The winning is better than losing. let's see. Our next game is Grambling and Alcorn, man. Big game here. The Tigers headed to the reservation to take on the Braves of Alcorn, the big bad Braves, as the famous GSPN like to say. And the Braves, they took this one, man. They came up with a nice victory. Um, yeah, you ask around. Some people, some people that wear black and gold gonna say the things didn't go their way, with the flags and everything. I don't know. I wasn't able to watch the game, so I'm not gonna comment on that. But Alcorn, they were up to the task. Grambling was a hot team, coming in, winning, basically winning 3 games in a row, 2 conference games in a row. Looking really good offensively. Alcorn looking like they finding their stride, and they were able to pull this thing out. Um, Grambling scored first on a fumble recovery for a touchdown to take a 7-0 lead. Travaris Griffin for Alcorn caught a 15-yard pass from Aaron Allen, get the tight end involved. 7-7 at that point. Then Alcorn got a pick six to go up 13-7 after the conversion was no good. Floyd Chalk put the Tigers back on top at 14-13 with a 2-yard run. No score in the second quarter, so our halftime score would be 14-13. Lyndon Rash will get the Tigers back on the board to put them up by 8 on a 13-yard pass from Miles Crawley, 21-13. Anthony Williams will get Alcorn back on the board with a 20-yard pass from Allen. Extra point was no good. That was a one-play drive for 20 yards. Braves to a 21-19. Tanner Rinker will get a field goal for Grambling with 2:58 left in the third quarter to put Grambling up 24-19. And then Tavares Griffin will get his second 15-yard touchdown pass from Aaron Allen. Excuse me, to make the score 25-19. That score came with 1:42 left in the game. Looking at Grambling's last possession, they would get the ball with 1:35 left at their 22-yard line. Miles Crawley would run for 6 yards to the 28. Miles Crawley would throw incomplete. They had an offensive pass interference, which would put let's see. They would have pass interference on Alcorn to put the ball up to the Grambling 35, make a first down. Miles Crawley would complete a short pass to Chance Williams for 10 yards, putting Grambling at their 45. And then on 1st and 10 from their 45, Miles Crawley was intercepted by Andrew Smith at the Alcorn 31 to basically end the game. Alcorn gets the ball back with 1:04, and they run the clock out. They run the clock down to about 13 seconds. They punt. Grambling gets the ball at their 14. Then Miles Crawley is intercepted again to end the game at the 50-yard line. So, Grambling had 2 chances late in the game to pull this thing out. Came up short through interceptions on both possessions, and were unable to win the game. Grambling run game was shut down. Alcorn run game was shut down. Both teams played great run defense in this game. Alcorn ran for 63 yards. Grambling ran for 60. Both teams averaged 1.9 yard per carry. Neither team could get anything going on the ground. Grambling had 1 rushing touchdown. Grambling only gained 84 yards of rushing offense. Alcorn gained 113, so Alcorn lost 50 yards of offense on the ground. Grambling 24. 239 through the air for Grambling, 15 of 28, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. By far, this was probably the worst game that Miles Crawley played this season as far as turnovers. Those 3 interceptions. He came in the game with 1. He left with 3. So he has 4 now. But Alcorn's defense, they can turn you over, and they did a great job of that. Alcorn was passed for 253 yards. They were 21 of 32 for 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. Grambling 299 yards of offense, average 5 yards per play. They had 8 penalties for 75 yards. Alcorn 316 yards, 4.9 yards per play. They fumbled 5 times and lost 2. So this game really could have went the other way with any of those fumbles turning to turnovers. Alcorn had 6 penalties for 35 yards. Time of possession was pretty even, 30:05 for Grambling, 29:55 for Alcorn. Grambling 7 of 16 on third down, 4 of 12 on third down for the Braves. Both teams converted all of their fourth downs. Grambling 1 of 1, Alcorn 2 of 2. Grambling had 5 sacks as a defense, Alcorn with 1. Individually, Miles Carley was 14 of 27 for 233 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 1 sack. Aaron Allen, 20 of 31 for 248 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked 5 times. Chance Williams led Grambling with 16 carries for 33 yards. Jarvion Howard, 11 carries for 48 yards. He has not been able to get going this season. Really got to find a way to get that running game going for Alcorn. It's not been there the last few weeks. This team is turning a passing team, which is, something that we did not expect. Antonio Jones led Grambling with 3 catches for 118 yards. Had a 53-yard reception. Malik Rogers led Alcorn with 3 for 80. Griffin 6 for 48 and 2 touchdowns. Got to get him involved. Every week I say got to get him involved, and he did, and it paid off. Lewis Matthews, 14 tackles for Grambling, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. Sunday out of Anderson, big game for him, 6 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. Grambling pass rush was ferocious in this game. Interception was by Trent Henry, returning for 5 yards. Edwin Summerauer led the Braves with 7 tackles. Terrence Ellis had 6. Ellis had 2 tackles for loss. He also had a sack. Summerauer and Smith, Summerauer and Rice and Smith each had interceptions. Cardiac Braves. I mean, there's no other way to put it, man. You lose your first conference game by 3 points. You win your next conference game by 3 points. Then you win your next game by 1 point. This team, it's not pretty. It is not pretty, but they're winning. And I mean, a win is a win. You say that all the time. Of course, you want to have, you want to look as sharp as you can, and you want to play as well as you can. But when you're winning, it's like you got to take it. You can complain about it and everything, but you gotta take that, man. And Alcorn found another way to win. We'll see if they can keep doing it. Jackson State had a really, really good first half, man. They really came out to play against before we go there, I do want to say my prediction for that Alcorn Grambling game was Grambling 27, Alcorn 21. So I dropped that one. My prediction for Alabama A&M and Jackson State, I picked Jackson State to win this game by a score of 23-20. It was way more high scoring than I thought. Like I said, Jackson State scored 35 first half points. Looked like they were gonna really mop the floor with A&M. A&M had a better second half and made the score look a little bit more respectable. But Jackson State really had their way in the first half. They would score 21 first quarter points and basically put this game, not really away, but basically give themselves a really good start to this game. Jacobian Morgan scored 2 touchdowns for Jackson State, 1 from 3 yards out, 1 from 1 yard out. Ahmad Miller would get a 38-yard touchdown run to put Jackson State up 21-0. Between those 3 scores, they lead 21-0 by the end of the first quarter. Xavier Langford would get the Bulldogs on the board early in the second quarter with a 1-yard touchdown run. Extra point good, make it score 21-7. Fabian McCray would catch a 47-yard pass from Jason Brown to put the Tigers up 28-7 after the extra point. Seven McGee will get a 5-yard touchdown pass from Brown to make the score 35-7, and that will be your halftime score. They would get a Dylan Watson 40-yard field goal. The Tigers would to go up 38-7. Cameron Young would get the Bulldogs on the board with a 17-yard pass from Langford, 38-15. They got a 2-point conversion from Xavier Langford, makes score 38-15. Langford with a 6-yard run to make the score 38-22. 13:34 left in the game. Seven McGee will catch a 15-yard pass from Jason Brown to make the score 45-22. And then Darren Turner would get a 7-yard pass from Langford to make the score 45-30. And like I said, this game could have, it could have really went a lot worse than what it did for the Bulldogs. They were able to kind of, do some things in the second half and make it a 15-point game instead of a 30-point game. Jackson State ran for 204 on the ground. The run game really drives this team. They run the ball extremely well, and they did it here. Balanced game, though. 204 passing, 202 passing, 204 rushing. Excuse me. 4.6 yards per carry for the Tigers. 14 of 26 passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Finished with 406 yards of offense, 5.8 yards per play. No fumbles, so, no turnovers at all. You can't beat that. 9 penalties for 66 yards. A&M, 107 yards on the ground, 3.7 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 24 43 through the air, three interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 277 yards, 384 yards of offense, 5.3 yards per play. They fumbled once and lost it, so 4 turnovers for the Bulldogs. In their 2 conference losses, they turned the ball over 8 times. And both games, they really did not run the ball that well. This, like I said, man, where is Alabama A&M? When they play, D2 teams, they putting up 50 plus on both of them. Against Pine Bluff, who is probably a step above that, they won that game in a kind of tight game. Pine Bluff should have won that game, honestly. In the game against Jackson State and Southern, 2 teams who are kind of ahead of them in the standings, they didn't really play that well. They scored a lot of points in this game, but they gave up a lot of points. So where is this team? We don't know where this team is. 6 weeks into the season, you don't know where this team is. And that's a theme for this show. We don't know where a lot of teams are after 6 weeks, and that's not good. But they just can't get out their own way sometimes. They were 6 of 13 on third down. Jackson State 5 of 17. Neither team converted a third down. Bulldogs had 3 sacks. Jackson State didn't register a sack. Jackson State 6 of 6 on extra points, which is definitely a good thing when you look at how they how the kicking was. The punt game still isn't there right now for Jackson State. They averaged 26 yards a punt. So, it didn't hurt them in this game, but, that's still something that's, could be an issue in a tighter game. Jason Brown, 14 of 26, 202 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, was sacked 3 times. Xavier Langford, 21 of 36 for 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Quincy Casey, 3 of 7 for 12 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Herb Mulligan, 115 yards on the ground, averaged 5 yards per carry. Ahmad Miller, 57 yards and a touchdown, averaged 8.1 yards per carry. Donovan Eaglin led the Bulldogs with 53 yards on 10 carries, 5.3 yards per carry. Alabama A&M, they were led by Cameron Young through the air, 8 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Fabian McCray led Jackson State with 2 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. Khalil Arrington led Jackson State with 5 tackles. Davis and Arrington each had 1 tackle for loss. Interceptions were by Hazel, Washington, and Callaghan. Bulldogs were led by Jordan Mitchell with 13 tackles. Hayes and Billingsley each had 2 tackles for loss. Sacks went to Hayes, Guilford, and Billingsley. We don't know where these 2 teams go from here. Jackson State needed this game coming off a bye week. You played well, got the win. Alabama A&M still trying to figure out where this team is, and there's still a lot of questions, and you got to look at coach job security at this point. Is he doing enough to keep his job? That's something that's going to be discussed a lot on a lot of shows, and definitely going to be worthy of discussion. Next game is Valley and Prairie View. Valley was unable to continue their mastery of the Panthers. Prairie View won this game by a score of 31-12. I had the Panthers winning this game by a score of 34-10, so right around the same score. Um, not a lot, not a lot to really take from this game, man. Both teams got field goals in the first quarter. Prairie got a 50-yard field goal. Valley got a 22-yard field goal. So after one, the score was tied at 3. Prairie View would get 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. Shamar Savage caught a 74-yard pass from Trezon Conley to go up 10-3. Connor Wisham would get a 2-yard run for the Panthers, make the score 17-3 after the extra point. That would be our halftime score. Valley would get another field goal, this time with 39 yards out, make the score 17-6. Trajan Spiller would put the Panthers back on the board with a 28-yard pass from Connolly, 24-6. Conley would get an 18-yard run for the Panthers to make the score 31-6. And Jackson Davis would catch a 13-yard pass from Tijarian Williams to put Valley on the board, make the score 31-12. That came with 3:47 left in the game, and that would be our final score. Valley finished with 48 yards on the ground. Prairie View finally got that running game going this week, 220 on the ground, 6.5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Valley ran for 1.5 yards per carry. 227 through the air for the Delta Devils, 18-31, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. 259 through the air for Prairie View, 11 of 18, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Valley 275 yards of offense, 4.3 yards per play, 7 penalties for 68 yards. Prairie View 479 total offense, 9.2 yards per play, 4 penalties for 30 yards. Prairie View was 9 of 13 on third down. Valley 4 of 12. Valley had 4 sacks. Prairie View had 7. So both teams got pretty good pressure on the quarterback, but Prairie View, they did what you expected. Valley still can't get it going. I mean, they threw the ball pretty decently, 18-31, like I said. Williams 18-31, 227, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, sacked 7 times. They stuck with him the whole game. So, they've been juggling quarterbacks as well. So we'll see if he's the guy moving forward, but he's the guy right now. Conley, 11 of 18, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, sacked 4 times. This is probably as close as we've seen to a Prairie View game from last season. You run the ball for over 200 yards, you pass the ball pretty decently, and you find yourself in a good spot. Wilson, 11 of 13 for 43 yards for Valley on the ground. Wisham led the Panthers with 6 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. Edes led Valley with 3 catches for 63 yards. Jackson Davis, 7 for 62 and a touchdown. Bloomfield led Prairie View with 3 for 94. Savage, 2 for 83 and a touchdown. Ryan Quinney led Valley with 7 tackles. He also had 1.5 tackles for loss and 1.5 sacks to lead the team. Prairie View was led by Tariq Mulmore with 8 tackles. Travion Green had 7. DeJuan Lewis had 7. Derek Ray and Jamal Marshall led the Panthers with 2 tackles for loss. Marshall also had 2 sacks. So, like I said, this was about a numbers game for Prairie View. I mean, you had to get this win to bounce back from from losing to Grambling. You got it, and now you move forward. So, you took care of business and you move forward. Our game of the week was an entertaining game. It was, I mean, if you wear blue and gold, it ended in a baffling fashion. If you a Rattler, this has basically been FAMU football all season. You play lights out defense. Offense does what they need to do. You get the win. This is a game Southern's played all season. Offense up and down, defense hang around, get and try to keep them in the game, and ultimately fall short. FAMU, this was a battle, man. This was a battle. If Southern's record was different coming into this game, you would have said this was a game that you could look at and be like, yo, these 2 teams might face off again in December. And it's still possible because the SWAC West is a hot mess. But this game really showed where both teams are. FAMU's a team that can win these kind of games. They played in these kind of games. They handle themselves accordingly. Southern still 6 games into the season doesn't have an identity on offense. Um, Baffling time management. Special teams mistakes, which has not been, that's been a strong point of Southern's special teams. But they had a blocked extra point, a missed extra point, a crucial fumble on a punt, on a punt return. And if you're Southern, you can't give FAMU those kind of opportunities because they're going to cash in. And that's what they did. Rattlers win this game 26-19. Southern scored first. C.J. Russell got a 1-yard run for the Jags to put them up 6-0. Extra point was no good. Jaquez Yant put the Rattlers on top 7-6 with a 1-yard run. Southern would get a touchdown with 2:50 left in the second quarter. Chandler Whitfield would catch a 72-yard pass from Harold Blood. Extra point was blocked in return for the 2-point conversion. So that made the score 12-9. And then Kobe Gross would catch a 3-yard pass from Musa to make the score 16-12 going into the break. Third quarter, neither team scored. Southern would take the lead 19-16 when C.J. Russell would get a 1-yard touchdown run. Extra point was good. FAMU would score the last 10 points of the game. Michael Smith would get a 44-yard field goal for the Rattlers with 7:21 left in the game to make the score 19-19. And then Jamari Gassett would catch a 12-yard pass from Musa with 2:44 left in the game to put the Rattlers up 26-19. And this last possession by Southern, really the last 2 possessions by Southern, were just mind-boggling. The first possession, Southern, the score was tied at 19. Southern got the ball, and they ran the ball once, and then threw two passes incomplete. I thought you probably could have ran the ball another time on second down, although that's debatable. But they went 3 and out, and then FAMU scored the go-ahead touchdown. Southern would get the ball with 2:37 and 1 timeout. They ran the ball on first down, didn't gain anything. On second down, they picked up 13 yards to get the first down. The false start pushes them back. First and 15 at their 36, they throw incomplete. Second and 15, they throw a 15-yard pass to pick up the first down. Not really moving with a lot of urgency. They were running no huddle, but they was taking a lot of time. And then on first and 10 from the 49, they run the ball up the middle. That clock runs some more. Second down, Blood gets sacked. Finally take your time out with 34 seconds. Now you're 34 seconds left on your own 48. And they would pick up they would complete a pass for no gain. And then on fourth down, they would throw incomplete. And FAMU would nail the clock out with 9 seconds left. So I'm not saying Southern would have scored on that drive because FAMU defense was playing lights out in the second half. But I don't feel like you gave yourself the opportunity to score. Really baffling game, and really honestly a baffling strategy coming into this game for Southern. FAMU ran the ball for 67 yards again. Running game just not really there, or not really a focus for the Rattlers. I mean, they ran the ball 23 times, but I don't know if they're not really looking to run the ball anymore now, or they just can't. I don't know what it is. They averaged 2.9 yards per carry. Southern ran for 125 yards, which against a FAMU defense that gives us 75 a game, that's not bad. Southern ran the ball 35 times. That's the second most this season. They only threw 19 passes. I don't really, I'm not saying you need to, chunk the ball 50 times in a game like this, but I think you need to throw it a little more. Because yes, you're running the ball, but you're only gaining 3.6 yards per carry. You're still finding yourself in some long down and distances. Just, really, really weird to be so run heavy against a team like this. But, Southern was 11 of 19 passing, 190 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. this was the first game Harold Blood had no turnovers. So that's definitely a good sign if you're looking at it that way. FAMU 325 yards passing, 31 of 54, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Honestly, FAMU left a lot of points on the field because Jeremy Musa missed a lot of passes, man. He missed a lot of guys. I'm talking I'm talking bad throws, man. I mean, this team won this game, even with him putting up the numbers he did. They won this game. Honestly, I don't want to say in spite of him, but they won this game really with him not playing that well. I mean, the defense, the guys made the catches that they needed to make, but he missed a lot of key throws that FAMU could have converted third downs. They could have scored touchdowns if he hit those guys in the right position. He hasn't really had a great season. His numbers are good, but I don't really think he's played to the level that he can. And I know a lot of Rattler fans they were upset. I could hear them, saying put somebody else in, and I feel your pain, but you're 5-1. I mean, sometimes you gotta take the good and the bad. But FAMU 392 yards of offense, 5.1 yards per play. They had 10 penalties for 100 yards. Southern 7 penalties for 73 yards. They had a fumble on the muff punt, 315 yards for Southern, 5.8 yards per play. One of the biggest differences in this game, FAMU was 6 of 15 on third down. Southern 2 of 12. 2 of 11. Southern can't convert third downs this season, and they really can't get third down stops on defense. That's going to probably be the biggest difference in this team's record this season. Both teams were perfect in the red zone. FAMU 4-4, Southern 2-2. FAMU 2 sacks, Southern 1 sack. Honestly, both offensive lines did a pretty good job of protecting their quarterbacks because both teams came in with double-digit sacks, and both teams have great defensive lines. And I thought both teams gave the quarterbacks time to throw the ball. It just one team threw the ball more than the other, and were able to complete more passes. Like I said, Musa 31 of 53, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 sack. Terrell Jennings was 0 for 1 with interception on a play that I did not understand why FAMU called it. I thought the offense was clicking pretty well. I guess you want to catch Southern slipping, but you turn the ball over. Harold Blood 11 of 19, 1 touchdown, 2 sacks, 190 yards, no interceptions. Jennings led the Rattlers with 7 carries for 34 yards, averaged 4.9 yards per carry. Gary Quarles led Southern with 80 yards on 13 carries, 6.2 yards per carry. Marcus Riley led FAMU with 7 catches for 97 yards. Chandler Whitfield led Southern with 4 for 88 and a touchdown. Isaiah Major, 11 tackles for the Rattlers. Anthony Dunn continues to have a really good season. 7 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. Gentle Hunt, 1 tackle for loss and 1 sack as well. Southern was led by Jalen Campbell with 8 tackles. Monroe and Donald led Southern with 1 tackle for loss apiece, and Monroe had the sack. Interception was by Carter. And again, man, like I said, after the Alabama A&M Jackson State recap, where does Southern go from here? Where do they go from here? You're in the mix in the division, but can you really win it? Can this team put together good games? Can they do it? Can they play offense and help the defense? I don't know. Can the Rattlers continue to live on the razor's edge? I think they can. I don't see anybody in the conference beating FAMU. I mean, I'm not saying it's not impossible because any given Saturday it can happen. But this team they just know how to they know how to get out of these games. When you got a defense as good as they do, your offense can live dangerously. Your offense can be flat. Your offense can get going late because your defense is not allowing anything to really put you in any danger. So this is FAMU's conference to lose this season. I'm not crowning them as champs right now, but I'm saying this is their conference to lose. I mean, if you're in the East, you need this team to lose twice. I don't see them losing twice. So if you're chasing FAMU, you're probably not gonna catch them because I don't see them losing twice, barring some crazy things happen. So even if they were to drop a game, um, I don't really see it being a factor. So the SWAC goes through Tallahassee. I said it. Whoever playing the West gonna have to go to Tally, and that's gonna be hard as hell to win and brag, especially in that kind of situation. So looking at the East standings, FAMU is 4-0 in conference, 5-1 overall. They won 4 straight. Jackson State is 2-1 in conference, 4-2 overall. They won 2 in a row. Alabama A&M is 1-2 in conference, 3-3 overall. They've lost 1. Bama State 1-2 in conference, 2-3 overall. They won 1. Bethune-Cookman 0-2 in conference, 1-4 overall. They've lost 3 in a row. Valley 0-2, 0-5 overall. They've lost 5. Prairie View is 3-1. They sit ahead of everybody by half a game. They 3-1, 3-3 overall. They won 1. Grambling 2-1, 3-3 overall. They've lost 1. Alcorn 2-1, 3-3 overall. They've won 2. Southern 2-1, 2-3 overall. They've lost 1. Pine Bluff 0-2, 1-4 overall. They've lost 2. Texas Southern 0-2, 1-4 overall. They've won 1. So as you can see, the East is pretty much on lock. The only team that even can really probably be honestly, there's nobody that's gonna catch FAMU. Um, everybody basically has 2 losses. Jackson State has 1, but they need FAMU to lose twice. Everybody else would need FAMU to lose like 3 times. So that's not happening. It's pretty much a done deal. As Cat Nala wants to say hello. She popped in to give her 2 cents. The West is a whole different animal. There's 3 teams. There's 4 teams with 1 loss. And 3 of them have already played each other, and they've split those games. So there's still a lot of room to be made. Southern still has a lot to say in this because they haven't played but 1 division game, and they have to play everybody else. Alcorn still has to play Pine Bluff and Texas Southern. Grambling still has to play Southern and Pine Bluff. Prairie View still has to play Southern and Pine Bluff. So there's still a lot of football to be played, But I still think the West is going to come down to a team with 2 or 3 losses. So this bumpy West ride is not over. The East is obviously not officially locked down, but barring anything, FAMU should win it. They're 4-0. Excuse me. Looking at the Week 7 schedule before we get out of here, October 14th, which is my birthday, so celebration on me. Not a great week of football. If you remember, I did my rankings, watchability rankings for the season. Week 7 didn't come out that great, but Valley is hosting Pine Bluff. That's homecoming in the Delta. That's a 2:00 kick. Texas Southern is at Bethune-Cookman. That's homecoming in Daytona. That's your HBCU Go game. 2:00 Eastern, 1 p.m. Central kickoff. Alabama State is at Jackson State. I think it's homecoming at JSU too. That's a 2:00 kick. ESPN Plus. Alabama A&M is at Grambling. Let me see something. Alabama A&M is at Grambling. That's a 3 p.m. kick. Lincoln is at Southern. That's a 4 p.m. kick. That's homecoming at Southern. I hate that Lincoln game. Y'all know how I feel about teams playing Lincoln, but that's homecoming at Southern, 4 p.m. kick. And Prairie View is at Houston Christian. That's a 6 p.m. kick. Again, like I said, not a great week of football. If I had, I probably, my game of the week probably gonna be Alabama State and Jackson State, because there's always a lot of extra things riding with that game, So and it's homecoming at Grambling too. So this is homecoming weekend, man, for the SWAC. Most of these teams have homecoming. Um, so at least if nothing else, everybody can celebrate homecoming and have a good time. But I'm leaning toward Jackson State and Alabama State as my game of the week, um, because there's not a lot of not a lot of good games on the schedule. This is probably one of those weeks where most of the games that you're interested in is your own team's game, not necessarily anybody else's game, because there's not a lot going on. And like I said, it's homecoming in Jackson, so there's let's see, five out of the 6 games are homecoming games. So everybody enjoy your homecoming on my birthday. Let's celebrate. Um, and that's gonna do it for us today, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that join button. If you feel like joining is not the thing you want to do, you can hit the cash app to drop a little something in the basket. That's $SWAC Talk. Hit the socials: Facebook Swag Talk, Instagram Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. And we'll be back on Tuesday with our HBCU top 10, which definitely gonna have a lot of movement. Our point spread, I'll go over the point spreads, and if any tidbits come from the coaches show, you'll get that Wednesday. Week 7 preview, Thursday Swag Smoke, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, live, and Sunday week 7 recap. So a full week as usual, and we'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.